I've uploaded the Eiffel Tower into Desmos Graphing Calculator, and prior to this video I made some changes and oriented the Eiffel Tower so that the bottom left of the image was closer to the origin. In order to map this parabolic curve right here, I decided to use the method of finding a point on the graph and the vertex of the parabola. So to begin with, I tried to find the vertex, or the very maximum point of the parabola, and I noticed that it was about 11 units over to the right. So I started with 11, 8, and that was way too high, and so I started bringing it down 11, 4, and then slowly narrowed it down to 11, 4.5. And upon inspection, that is pretty accurate as far as the maximum value of the supposed parabola goes. Next, I wanted to find a point somewhere on the parabola. So I started at 8 and then guessed 3.5. And that was close, but I wanted to get it right onto the beam. So I switched it to 3.6 and then got it a little closer, going 3.65, and that put me on the highlight of the beam. From here, I was ready to derive the equation of the parabola. In order to do that, I took the vertex form of the parabola and the point on the curve and the vertex that I chose, and then completed the algebra necessary to solve for the a value of the graph. And so I decided to check my work and see how close of a parabola we could get. And voila, we have the parabola matching the top half of this architecture in the Eiffel Tower. One thing that I was concerned with is that the parabola did not match the lower part of the curve in the architecture. So I decided to do a secondary test just to see if I could get a parabola that was more accurate. To do so, I kept the same vertex, but chose a secondary point (7, 2.8). This point was lower on the parabola where the orange line was not hitting. Using the same technique as before, I derived the equation for the second parabola. And that was able to go through the vertex and that point. After observing both lines, I decided that the orange line was more accurate of a representation than the pink line because it touched more points along the total distance of the curve versus the purple line, which hits the bottom. In my reflection, I will write a little bit more into detail on this, but I think that either the architecture of the Eiffel Tower isn't truly parabolic. It could be that my vertex is a little bit off by some fractions of a decimal, or it could be the camera angle that the photo is taken from. If the height of the camera was a little bit higher, maybe we could get a better representation of the curve. So that is my analysis of the Parabola project.